From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. An update on a horrible wreck that we first told you about as breaking news Friday night here on Q2. They claimed the lives of 3 Billings teenagers. Tonight, family, fellow West High students, and a community continue to grieve the loss after the SUV the teens were traveling in rolled west of Billings at 64th and Danford Friday night. We know more about those who lost their lives. Today, the Yellowstone County coroner identified the victims. 16-year-old Connor Hunter DeVere died on the scene Friday night. His mom tells us Connor loved anything outdoors, hunting, fishing, and dirt bikes, to name a few. She says he had a compassion for anyone or anything he met and was just a great kid. 18-year-old KYLIE Ray LARSEN also died at the scene Friday. Her family tells us KYLIE was fun and spunky with the biggest heart of gold. She loved to cook, and her family will miss her messes in the kitchen dearly. She loved her 7 siblings and was dedicated to her faith. Her family also says we're devastated by the loss of KYLIE and her friends, but grateful for Zach and his survival. They are all shining stars in a dark world. 17-year-old Thomas Christopher Lindsay died at the hospital. His dad tells us Tommy Moneyman Lindsay was a motorcycle state cross country series champion. He loved to hunt, but everything took a backseat to football and being a Golden Bear. His family also says Tommy was lucky not only to meet his hero, but grew up with him, his brother JJ. And an update tonight on the lone survivor, 17-year-old Zach Malcolm, who was best friends with Thomas Lindsay. Zach was transported to the hospital, underwent 2 surgeries, and was expected to be released today. Zach's mom told Q2 that he's very thankful for the community outreach and support. He will miss his friends dearly and sends his love to all the families involved. Well, Q2 Shaquille Cozart was at the scene today to bring us more details and the impact being felt across the community today.
Montana Highway Patrol says that high wind and speed both played a factor in the crash that took 3 lives Friday night. It is understood that the driver lost control of the vehicle after hitting a large snowdrift that had formed in the road. The Chevy Equinox with 4 occupants went off the road, rolled, and struck a fence. According to Montana Highway Patrol, the teens may have been traveling too fast to control the vehicle in those conditions. Today, members of the community visited the memorial where the accident took place, signing their names on 3 of the crosses at the memorial and reflecting on the memories of their lost friends.
I ended up knowing KYLIE. We met through church. A lot of times I didn't really have anybody to sit with. I was kind of a loner, and so she'd end up sitting with me, and so I'd have a buddy. And then freshman year, we started talking, and we ended up having a class together, and I ended up losing my brother, and so it was the only class I ever looked forward to. She was just always super sweet and kind and never said anything harsh to somebody.
Billings School Superintendent Greg Upham said that additional staff and a highly trained crisis response team has been working with staff, students, and families to ensure that everyone has the support they need through this difficult time.
At both schools this morning, and the crisis response team and our administrators and teachers were working with our students and just doing the best. I thought everyone was doing as well as they could. This is a horrible tragedy, and our hearts go out to the families and the friends of this. And basically, it was just seeing people just support each other.
Reporting in Billings, I'm Shaquille Cozart with MTN News.
Upham also says he wants to thank the community for the continued support towards the families and friends of the victims. More than 1,000 people have reached out to help the families by donating to GoFundMe pages, and you can find all 4 of those links in this story on KTVQ.com. 2 snowmobilers rescued just in the nick of time after spending 2 freezing nights in the Beartooth Mountains. The Park County, Wyoming Sheriff's Office shared these pictures on Facebook of the 2 men finally being rescued Saturday. Trevor Deal of Bridger and Mason Ostwald of Laurel had gone out on their snowmobiles Thursday morning when one of the snowmobiles became disabled. The 2 men also had to abandon the other snowmobile when its steering became damaged. The 2 had no means to build a fire, survived by covering themselves with spruce leaves. The Park County Sheriff says one of the men said they were losing feeling in their lower extremities and they feared that they would soon perish when a helicopter that had joined in the search spotted them. The sheriff says the men were exhausted, dehydrated, and hypothermic, but that they appeared to be in relatively good shape, all things considered. A Billings City Council okayed the purchase of a new fire truck tonight. That after one of its engines was involved in a crash on icy streets. An inspection of the old truck found damage to the cab and frame would cost more to fix than the truck is worth. The new fire engine will be ordered from truck manufacturer Pierce at a price of $638,000. The city was already contracting Pierce to make 2 pumper trucks as part of this year's equipment replacement program and just added a third to its order. All right, Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh joining us for a first look at weather. It was warm and windy out there today, and it was a big snow eater, Ed.
That's for sure. Everything kind of came together just the way that we want it when we got to get rid of some of the snow that's on the ground. Of course, those warm temperatures really help, but also low humidity. It was warm enough overnight that we actually continued to see some snow melt even during the very early morning hours. The wind really picked up, and that added to a lot of the evaporation as well. And of course, there was a lot of other things. We had the direct sunlight. The ground had been warm enough for a while to start to melt some of that snow. Temperatures are typically in the mid-30s to mid-40s for highs, but today the highs ended up into the mid-40s to the mid-50s by later on in the afternoon. Billings 53 officially at the airport. Check out those readings across the eastern plains. 56 in Miles City, Jordan at 57. Add to that wind gusts up to 82 miles an hour in Livingston. Forecast is coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Ed. The shape of summer school for Billings students is starting to be worked out. Tonight, Billings School Board trustees heard initial plans to help bring students back up to speed after many have struggled this year, which was, of course, marred by COVID-19. Q2's Mitch Legge brings us more.
Billings School District administrators said on Monday that it will take years of remedial learning to catch up struggling Billings kids after this year of schooling. This summer, the district plans to roll out its most robust summer school program yet for students in kindergarten through 8th grade. Steering committees made up of teachers and administrators are meeting now to schedule summer school in Billings. In particular, students learning remotely in the Billings School District are struggling with meeting benchmarks when compared with those learning in the classroom. Some summer school details are still up in the air, like staffing and deciding which students will be invited to the programs. Administrators lined out 2 separate programs that are in the planning, one for kindergarten through 5th grade and one for middle schoolers. They're proposed to run for 6 total weeks starting in June and educate students 4 days per week. Ideally, each elementary and middle school would host summer classes, but it's still unknown how much additional federal coronavirus relief money the district will receive to fund them. Administrators hope to start identifying which students to invite to summer classes sometime in April. At the Monday board meeting, School Superintendent Greg Upham said that there still hasn't been a decision made yet on whether the schools will offer remote learning next year. He said there's just still too much up in the air, like coronavirus vaccine distribution and the amount of federal funding to make a decision yet. Reporting in Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. Plans are also in the works to expand the summer school opportunities in Billings high schools. Preliminary plans allow a student to take up to 3 classes in the summer with expanded opportunity to make up for failed electives. Well, you can almost stand outside a gas station in the days ahead and probably watch the pump price change by the hour. Thanks to the cold snap that plunged parts of Oklahoma and Texas below zero, industry experts predict a 20 to 30 cent a gallon increase in pump prices right away, with $3 a gallon likely by Memorial Day. Last week's polar vortex idled 20% of the nation's oil refining capacity, with Gulf Coast refineries shut down due to power outages and shortages of natural gas. AAA says the recent big chill will push the national average pump price up another 10 to 20 cents from its current level of $2.54 a gallon. Such an increase would put the national average at about $2.65 to $2.75 per gallon, the highest level it's been at since 2019. And GasBuddy.com experts say that national average could edge closer to $3 a gallon by Memorial Day weekend. All right, ahead on the MTN News at 10 here on Q2, more than just a number. Remembering the tremendous loss caused by the COVID pandemic as another grim milestone is marked. Then later in sports, a trio of sisters helping to lead Laurel's girls. Scott will have that story in just a bit.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris joined a nation in mourning this evening, honoring the more than 500,000 Americans who have died from COVID-19. With their spouses, they paused for a moment of silence outside the White House, where 500 candles lit the steps. The president has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff to honor the dead. Now, President Biden says Americans need to fight the pandemic as one people. The president calling for unity on the day the country surpassed 500,000 deaths from COVID-19. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
The coronavirus has now claimed more than 500,000 lives in the United States. President Biden put the sobering milestone in perspective.
That's more Americans who have died in 1 year in this pandemic than in World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined.
The president urged Americans to remember and remain vigilant.
While we've been fighting this pandemic for so long, we have to resist becoming numb to the sorrow.
Vice President Kamala Harris and the second gentleman joined the president and first lady for a moment of silence as 500 candles lined the stairs of the South Portico, each representing 1,000 Americans killed by COVID-19.
President Biden has ordered U.S. flags to be flown at half-staff this week as the administration tries to get a handle on the unpredictable disease.
We are working on rolling out a lot of vaccine to a lot of people, and yet we still have a lot of disease.
The White House's coronavirus response team says vaccine production and distribution remain its top priorities. Recent storms have disrupted deliveries across the country.
I reported on Friday that we would catch up on deliveries by the end of this week. We now anticipate that all backlog doses will be delivered by midweek.
The CDC says more than 44 million people have received at least one dose of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccine. 19.4 million have received both shots and are fully vaccinated. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And Governor Gianforte also ordered flags here in Montana to be put at half-staff today. Up next in weather, wind and warmth ate up a lot of our snow. So we take a live look from the Stockman Bank weather cam on this Monday night. Ed will tell you what's ahead for the rest of the week.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
Welcome back, and we want to thank Sandy for sending in this picture, some of the wild horses, and we always appreciate getting your pictures. You can email us at weather@ktvq.com or use our free downloadable app. Our Facebook page is another great option for you as well. So, well, Sandy, you can see some of the breaks in the snow cover across the region, but this one really tells the story. Thanks, John Potter from Red Lodge area, where he was having a meltdown, at least on the roof, and you can see a lot of the snow continuing to fall off the roof. So we saw a lot of that through the area today. A lot of snow melt, as Russ mentioned earlier. The temperature is certainly warm enough for that at 53. It's 11 degrees above the average for this time of the year, and it was aided by those gusty winds in the Billings area at the airport, 63 miles per hour. And we did get some reports from Billings West End, upper 50s to even around 60 degrees for a daytime high today on some of the thermometers around town. 42 is where we're at on the airport right now with the southwest wind at 10 miles per hour. Still seeing some of that wind in the mountain foothills, but even this tapered off a little bit in some locations once we get east of Billings, less than 20 miles an hour. But check out a 70 mile per hour wind gust here in the last short while around Livingston, and sustained winds still at 50 miles an hour. That Livingston Big Timber area still very windy, so you can see where the winds are right down the east slope. So showers into the western portion of the state, then the wind that's drying out the air and then allowing some of the showers to push across the eastern plains. But it's certainly warm enough. This is all rain showers here this evening. So let's take a look and see how this is going to come together as we get through the evening and overnight hours of tonight. Western Montana, we could feel some wintry impacts in areas around Butte-Bozeman overnight. Still some avalanche concerns in areas with the wind-blown areas of northwest Montana, but all the gold-shaded areas, strong winds through central Montana down into the southeastern corner of the state. Northeast Montana, quick-moving cold front could produce some showers there, just enough to produce some glaze and some snow and some ice by first thing in the morning, and then heavier snow possible from CODY back into Yellowstone National Park tonight heading into tomorrow. The reason for the showers, the next cold front sinking across the area. You can almost pick out a line where the cold front is moving through, and that's going to punch through the area overnight. So a chance of an overnight shower, mainly for Billings area, and then a few scattered showers, especially for the higher elevations. But strong winds could develop with this as well. In the Bighorn foothills, you could see a brief pop in the temperatures overnight. But notice that strong upper level jet that was coming across our area and pulling the winds down is going to move south of us, and that's going to allow the cooler air to move in. This is a very strong jet stream, up to about 170 miles per hour. So for the eastern plains of Montana and northern Wyoming, we wake up to mild temperatures. Areas of rain or snow showers that could cause some slick conditions up here in northeastern Montana and then coming off the mountains. But notice by the time we get out to about lunchtime, we're going to be looking at strong winds moving across the area. In fact, that's all the blue arrows you see there. The temperatures aren't much different from the morning until we get into the afternoon, but those wind gusts will be the strongest early in the day. If we take the clock out to the evening hours, the winds start to ease up. Here's how it looks for us in our day planner. Temperatures will start off in the 30s and basically stay 30s and 40s, a chance of overnight showers. Once the winds ease up later in the afternoon, the temperatures also ease up and we'll start to see those drop across the region. In the extended outlook, the temperatures trend a little bit cooler on Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, they warm up a bit, but then another cool down again for Saturday. We have more after this.
A young bald eagle found itself in a life or death situation last week. A retired school teacher and her husband here in Yellowstone County stumbled across him barely alive, and they did everything they could. Staff at the Montana Raptor Conservation Center say he was badly poisoned with lead and was unlikely to survive. Here's MTN's Cody Boyer.
They just went above and beyond to help this bird.
All alone, face down in the snow on the side of the road. A situation that, for most animals, means the end.
Odds of this eagle making it through even a couple nights out there probably would have been slim to none.
In Becky Kean's 18 years at the Montana Raptor Conservation Center, it's a situation that she's seen go the other way many times. Lead poisoning.
Clenched talons, labored breathing, just very lethargic. It eventually gets them down.
We were on our way back from an errand, keeping our eyes open, and went past this brown patch.
That's Julie Betts in Yellowstone County.
My husband said, "Was that what I think it was?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I think so."
Julie and her husband Carrie saw the juvenile bald eagle first, but saw no signs of life.
He was gone. In our opinions, he was gone. My husband just took his foot and gently touched him, and he started breathing.
They had a towel with them at the moment and put him in the back of their seat.
Julie and Carrie immediately called the center in Bozeman, and they knew to. The couple was fresh from saving another bald eagle in the same area, another that they took to Becky too.
This was the second one within 2 weeks. I am just in awe at what they can do, and this raptor was near death.
Julie says eagles, to her, stand for staying strong through anything. So she says this was just her returning the favor.
On our way up there, I would reach back and just kind of gently touch his feathers and just really hoped that he was still alive.
The next 2 nights, Becky says, were tough.
When we got him here, we did not think he was going to make it through the evening.
He just needed a few days. This is how he looks now.
Them finding him that evening was a life-saving, matter for this bird.
He looked like he was raring to go.
Oh my gosh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Becky says the eagle will stay there until he has recovered enough to be released, which could be some time. But the female, that one on the screen, is Julie and Carrie's first rescue, and you can see that she is recovering well. For now, both Julie and Becky point fingers at who the real heroes might be.
There's a lot of tears that go on with rehab, but this one was the tears of joy. They're the heroes of the day, saving the eagle.
I don't consider us heroes or anything. I don't at all. We were just people that happened to drive by at the right time at the right place. I like to think that anybody would have done the same thing.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Well, staff of the Montana Raptor Conservation Center say if you ever encounter an eagle that is down, contact them immediately. We'll be right back.